Hey everybody, welcome back to the Marketing Minute. I'm your host, Renee Lee, and today I have a very special guest joining us on the show today. She was one of my favorite professors while I was studying to get my marketing degree at the University of Missouri. Today I have Katie Essing here on the Marketing Minute. She has been in the retail industry for over 3 decades, and she is still a marketing professor at the University of Missouri, but then she is also the founder of Strategic Retailer, where she provides consulting and coaching services for the retail industry. Well, thank you, Katie, for joining us on the Marketing Minute today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So, as we're talking about retail, I just want to talk about one of the main trends that's going on in the retail industry right now, and that is the Great Resignation. So, let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think caused the Great Resignation, and how can companies be more proactive towards wave like this in the future?
When the pandemic hit and all of us started to work from home and try to accomplish our work in different ways, I think that it let people reimagine what's important to them and what kind of work environment they're looking for. And for a lot of our retail locations, literally we were closed down depending on where you were at. And as we have been emerging out of the pandemic, I think a lot of people are just looking at their work and like, do I want to go back to an office or a retail space, or do I want to do something different? Do I want a little more flexibility? So because of that, retail has certainly been impacted by having a shortage of employees, and we see that with longer lines, maybe longer wait times at restaurants, maybe more difficulty getting some help when you're in a retail space. And it's a true challenge. So retailers are starting to look at different ways to solve this. So is that possibly paying more per hour? Is it looking at technology that can help, like the self checkout line or the kiosk where you can order yourself as a customer, or maybe you can use your app and order ahead? It's like what will work will depend on each retailer and the customer. But I think we'll definitely continue to see change based on just this difference in our employee base.
No, for sure. I think you made a good point when you were saying that people are valuing different things over money. And so, what can retailers specifically learn from, employees valuing different things other than compensation?
But really is a chance for retailers to think about what's important for both my employees and my customers. So, for instance, we're getting ready to go into the holiday season, and in retail, traditionally that means our brick and mortars are open a lot of hours because convenience is really important for customers. And this year is a little bit different because instead of adding more hours, we have retailers that are saying, hey, we're going to be closed on Thanksgiving. Some are even saying we're going to be closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and the day after, because that's a gift they can give employees, of that flexibility and that time with family. And all of those decisions are really difficult because we have customers who may be looking for those conveniences, or if a retailer is learning, I need to pay more to get people to work for my retail store, how do I pay for that? It could be higher prices, and are consumers willing to pay more? Or do I need to cut some other services? So I think retailers are just really figuring out what's the most important priority and making changes and just evolving.
Okay, so as we just talked about the holiday season approaching and brick and mortar stores with a labor shortage, let's talk about the supply chain because that's another hot topic right now in the retail industry. So, how is it affecting our brick and mortar stores and our omni-channel strategies?
Yeah, I think the biggest message right now retailers want everyone to know is buy now and order now, because the supply chain has been disrupted on so many different levels. It is, as you mentioned, the staffing level. So not only are our retailers having trouble finding employees, but also, the entire transit chain. So from truck drivers to people that are working at the ports, and we have that staffing issue. And then we have our supply chain, which we have this global supply chain. And now more than ever, we're realizing where our products come from, because some things like apparel, if we have a lot of apparel made in countries that have been impacted with their factories being shut down because of the pandemic, we're now seeing that, and it's hard to find things that like denim or t-shirts or different products like Nike shoes. It's hard to find those things that we take for granted as always having available. So it's the pandemic, it's the supply chain. Now we have the labor shortage. So all of this is making it trickier to get products to the shelf. So with this, I think retailers are being creative. They're seeing if there's alternative products, maybe substitute products, and also just being real with customers. Like you might wait longer. It might take a while to get this, and just being transparent about that.
So, now that we talked about the supply chain, and now, we're talking about retail. You've had a lot of retail background. And as we transition into talking about just malls and that customer experience, can you just tell us about your retail background?
Yeah, no, I'd be glad to. I went to Mizzou, and right after college, I was a buyer for a department store and did that for a while, and then went into the shopping center industry. So I did marketing for shopping malls and then management. So I took care of properties here in Missouri and also out in Maryland on the East Coast, and did that for, gosh, 12, 13 years, taking care of all different types of properties, and then moved back to Columbia and started taking care of our downtown, which we call the district, which is a completely different type of retail environment. And now I teach retailing and other marketing classes at Mizzou.
I remember because I was in your
You
class.
were.
Retail marketing in 2019, 8 a.m. I'll never forget your class.
8 a.m. You were one of our strong 8 a.m. students, so you did a great job. And little did we know in the fall of 2019, how much we would see in the changes coming ahead.
Yes, because the pandemic hit and changed retail, I think, forever, or
Yes.
it, changed very fast and people were not ready for that.
Well, and I
And
think a lot of things we were testing even in 2019, like using apps and curbside pickup, we had some of the leaders that were testing it. But then when the pandemic hit, like everybody wanted that. Everybody wanted to order, pick up curbside, have it delivered to their home or pay with their app. And it really brought forward all of that technology. And now, like you say, we're not going back. It's like we see more and more of that in how we're shopping and getting products.
yeah, no, because like the technology piece is a big part. Everybody wants that convenience. But I think also because everybody was, put up for a long time and everybody's been in the house, everybody has that eagerness to go outside and get
Yes.
that customer experience again. And so we saw the mall suffer, obviously, during the pandemic, but they haven't died,
Mhm.
as theaters haven't died, and they, battle with streaming services. And so why haven't the malls died yet?
Great question. And to be fair, some malls probably will get reimagined. So we have different levels of malls. We've got like our really high end, top tier malls, and those are going to continue to be really strong shopping center developments. They have really strong anchors, great restaurants, great entertainment. But we also have some malls that have been struggling, and they were struggling with low occupancy before the pandemic. And it's thinking about what can I do differently with this space. Sometimes it's really valuable real estate, really good locations. And you think about the online channel with our omni retailing, and the thing that is lacking from that is that in person experience, that chance to go shopping with friends or go have a meal or go to the movie, and we think about what are things that I can do to build those experiences into the shopping center space. And I think we're seeing a lot of creativity with uses, and some of the uses we're pulling back from a couple decades ago, like for instance the arcade was super big in the 80s, and now we're seeing that brought back. And maybe paired with a bowling alley or roller skating rinks. Kind of these nostalgic uses are finding their way back in. We're seeing empty department stores maybe being turned into things like schools where you could have classes or theater spaces or gyms, or even some properties are adding in like office component or apartment living where you can have kind of this mixed use development where people can very conveniently live, work, and play. So I think we'll just constantly see that evolution, some new things, some older ideas, and the mall properties that will continue to be successful are just going to be flexible. Maybe I take this big wing that's kind of empty and I turn it into a convention space or conference space. So it's kind of thinking about what's missing in the market and what we can do to bring people in, because the brick and mortar is currently the instant gratitude channel. So if you need a outfit tonight or you need a pair of shoes for an interview tomorrow, you still are going to a brick and mortar location. And we'll still see that technology coming into that. So like the buy online, pick up in store, can malls do that for their 100 tenants and have some convenient spots where people could pull up? So we're testing all of these different things. It's really all about the experience. And another thing that you get at the mall is when you're walking around with friends and family, you can also have experiences like with the holiday season coming up. We're seeing the decor and the music and visiting with Santa and being able to just browse. And that experience is something that I think we all missed greatly, and that we still will be drawn to shopping centers to have that.
I think like when you're saying with the decor and the music, I guess like what questions should retailers be asking themselves to make sure like that the customers that are in the malls walking around, how are they driving them into their stores to actually
Yeah.
get look around and then maybe buy something?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a great chance for a bit of a reset to find out what is still important for my customers. How can I pivot and evolve? And we do have to recognize, too, we were talking earlier about the staffing shortage and also supply chain issues. So, how do retailers manage that? So maybe that means when you come into a store and it's not in stock, having ways to easily have the customer be able to have that sent to their home. So, it's taking that opportunity, that face to face customer experience. That's what we can still get in the brick and mortar channel. But I think a lot of our retailers are fully embracing other ways of shopping, either online or using the app. And I think our challenge as marketers is how to make that a seamless transition. So no matter how the customer might decide they want to enjoy a retail experience, we're there to help provide that. And if that means one day order on an app and pick up curbside, if the next time that means you're going to come in and enjoy that space, because retail environments are kind of like, that third space. It's a place that you want to hang out and be comfortable. And if you want that, you should be able to seamlessly have that experience as well. So it's really, I think, just listening to your customer, looking at your metrics on what's working, what's not working, and certainly research if needed to really understand.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
conversation around retail. And as we're going into this holiday season and entering into the post-COVID era, as we see things calming down, I'm excited to see what retail has in store for us with the different experiences and technology and everything.
I know it's a really fun time to be watching retail and seeing, especially like with all this technology emerging, it's going to be fun to see what happens next. Like as we go into the world of augmented reality and virtual reality and using robotics, what do consumers appreciate and what do they want to stay in person? So I think we've got a lot of cool stuff that we can learn in the near future.
For sure. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
thanks for having me. It's always fun to chat.